Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I want to go ahead and jump right into this video. If you've been to my channel before and watched any of my other videos, you know that I talk about a lot about relationships and how bad my previous marriage was and how I was mistakenly married to a man that I thought God wanted me to be married to, and that was not the case. I've made many videos about how bad my marriage was, and we talked a lot about how my previous husband was very abusive and things of that nature. However, I wanted to go ahead and do this video. It's been on my heart to do it for quite a while, but I think the previous videos that I've done were kind of important to get that information out. So I'm happy that I waited, and I want to go ahead and jump right into it. I want to talk about in this video how I contributed to my bad marriage. First off, I want to state that I believe that neither my behavior or my ex-husband's behavior led to our divorce. I believe me seeking God and finding out that he was never meant to be my husband is what led to my divorce. I also believe that there was some infidelity in my relationship on his part because the Lord has given me dreams during our relationship, and he was showing all the signs of someone who was cheating. So I'm more than 99% sure that my ex-husband was cheating. So all of these different things could have contributed to our divorce, especially the fact that I was seeking God wholeheartedly about if this was a man that I was supposed to be married to because of the abuse, because of what I was dealing with. I talk about that in this video, about how I knew without a shadow of doubt that that was not the marriage that God had for me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. I have always dealt with control issues, wanting to be in control. Most of it was the need to be in control of myself. So that showed in my marriage. I was married to someone who's controlling. And so my lack of submissiveness and fear of being controlled was just magnified in that marriage. And I also talk about in previous videos how I believe my marriage to him was designed to destroy me and to destroy him. Every fear and brokenness that he had, my fear and brokenness chipped away at what he was already struggling with and facing with, and the same for him. Every fear and brokenness that I had, what he came to the table with, even made those things worse in me. I'll give a quick example. I was a runner. Before I married him, I was a runner. So I would be in relationships. If things didn't work out, if he showed signs of anything, I was out. And now I didn't do that in our marriage. No, I didn't do that in the beginning of our marriage. However, I soon realized that he was struggling with the idea of people leaving him and rejecting him. I dealt with people not leaving me, but rejecting me emotionally. And so he was my fear and I was his fear. I was a runner. He was afraid of people leaving him. He was emotionally abusive. I was afraid of being emotionally abused or emotionally rejected. And that's exactly what he did. He rejected me emotionally. He would not connect with me. There were times where he wouldn't talk to me. I was a runner. So during the middle of our relationship, when things got really bad, I would separate myself from him. I would leave the room. I would leave the house. I would leave and spend the night at my girlfriend's house. So we were pretty much designed to destroy one another. So that's the second thing that I would say, how I contributed to my bad marriage. I would leave the situation. I would leave when things got really bad and things got really fearful and scary. Also, I would say, I don't know how to shut up. I'm just now learning how to be quiet, how to not always have something to say, not having to always comment, always ridicule, always bring up things. A girlfriend of mine told me years ago while I was in that marriage, she said, you gotta shut up. You talk too much. You gotta learn when to not speak, and men do not want to hear nagging. And so I had to learn, that's a hard pill to swallow. You know, no woman wants to be known as a nagger. And you think nagging like, that's not nagging. That's not the only form of nagging. Repeating something over and over again to a grown man, that's nagging. Mentioning something that's not worth mentioning, not going to God first, but just going to him with every little thing, that's nagging. And that's what I did. So another thing that stands out tremendously about that season of my life was my issue with anger. I had issues with anger. I found myself angry a lot. I found myself lashing out in anger. I didn't know how to handle anger. So when I was dealing with frustration or anger or even fear, I was boisterous. I was animated. Everything was on 10, and it could be worth a 5, but it was on 10 for me. And that contributed to a very tumultuous relationship because I was married to someone who dealt with the same thing. Imagine 2 people who were constantly at each other's neck. It was bad. And a lot of times, you know, when I would do something or say something that made him angry and abusive, and he would yell, talk down to me, and just be really cruel, I would shut down because fear would set in and sadness will set in. But then a few days of that, by day 3, I would blow up. And it caused turmoil. It caused major turmoil. I also had an issue with accepting criticism. Criticism to me, no matter how it came, I don't want to point the finger to him, right? That's not what this video is about. However, he wasn't a really good criticizer, so he didn't do it out of love. There was never like love exuding from him at all. It was always pointing the finger, telling me how bad I was, and very accusatory. However, even in my marriage now, my husband's totally not like that. He's the very opposite. But when he does criticize me, I feel that. I feel that feeling of no, but, and yeah, but, and this is why, and giving excuses. Slowly but surely, the Lord has shown me how to accept criticism and humility. And humility is a huge thing that the Lord is working out in me. And pride was a huge thing that contributed to my bad marriage. So the point of me making this video is not really so much to show that I had fault, because that's obvious. There's always 2 sides of the story. You can't argue with yourself. You can't have issues with yourself, right? So if he's arguing, he's not arguing by himself. So that was clear. But my point of making this video is I really wanted to explain to you guys the importance of marrying someone who God has called you to marry. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be things that come up. But the difference between things that come up in a God-ordained marriage and things that come up in a marriage that was sent to you by the devil is a complete different story. There is grace in the marriage that God has ordained you for. Marriage, either way, is not easy. Marriage takes work. There's going to be arguments. There's going to be things that come up. But I can tell you right now, speaking from experience, that me and my husband don't argue. We don't argue. There's times where things do come up and we might have different opinions, and I might say something and he might say something, but for the most part, we don't argue. There's no turmoil. There's no throwing things. There's no yelling. There's no fire words where we're saying things to hurt one another. Those things don't happen. My kids don't ever see arguments and issues in our marriage. If we talk about something, we talk about something in the privacy of our room, and it's pretty point blank, straight to the point. And sometimes we work it out immediately and sometimes we don't. I am constantly working on myself as a wife. The Lord is constantly working on me as a wife, as a husband, as a daughter, as a friend, as a human. He's working on me, period. And so the things that I dealt with in my previous marriage, I can tell you now that either I don't deal with anymore or it's dwindling away. So guys, thanks for watching this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. Please consider subscribing and tapping the bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. Also, share this for people who might need it. And please comment down below if any of the things that I shared about myself that you can completely relate to. It'll kind of make me feel like I'm not the only crazy person in the world. So thanks again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.